Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. Welcome back to the show. We are joined by the one, the only, Tony Mantor. Yeah, he's a music producer. You may have known of him. He's a manager and artist himself from beautiful Nashville, Tennessee. Please welcome Tony here. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing great, thanks. How about you?
I'm doing well, thank you. Pleasure to have you here again, live on the podcast and on the Zoomcast. And for those new listeners today, please introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about what you do specifically, Tony.
Well, I moved to Nashville about 30 years ago, and I'm a producer, developer. I work with new singers, up and coming singers, established singers. Just anybody that loves music. So I do production work. I develop them. I get them ready for radio, manage their careers, and just continually build upon what they've got to start with.
Amazing. Well, there's a lot to you, and I think it's important that we get to know you and your start. So tell me where you're from, what brought you into music and performing, and got to get to know Tony. Tell us about where you grew up and what brought you into this field of music.
Well, I'm originally from a little town in Maine called Madison, it's interesting. There's no one in my family that I know of that got into music.
Wow.
At 8 years old, we had an old piano that was in the house, and I would go over and just pound on it and do the little things that kids would do. And then my mother said, "Well, if you're going to take and spend that much time on it, you might as well learn." So I started learning how to play, and over the years developed a love of music, and then like anything else, I decided that's what I wanted to do. But because coming from a small town, where it's not normal to get into the entertainment business or anything outside the normal 9-to-5 jobs, everybody kind of said, "What do you think you're doing?" And I said, "Well, just got to give it my shot and see what happens." So I released a few records here and there and hit the charts and just kept building from there.
Tell us about some of these hits. And come on. You're so modest. Come on.
Well, the first part, I just worked with some. I was very fortunate. I went to Nashville to help a couple of my friends that were songwriters, and they didn't have any transportation. So I said, "Okay, I'll take you down." And I was into rock and roll and pop and Eagles and all that kind of music.
Mm-hmm.
I really wasn't. I mean, I was aware of country music, of course, but I wasn't really a fan of country music. I just loved music.
Mm-hmm.
So when they asked me if I'd take them to Nashville, this just really blows everybody's mind. I said, why would I want to go to a hick town like that? Because I really perceived Nashville as being a country hick town.
Mm-hmm.
So I took them down, and then of course, coming up to Nashville, you see all the high rises, and it's just concrete and steel like any other city. So we walked Music Row like everybody did, and we met some good people. We met some bad people, and I was very fortunate. I came across some very good people that they liked what I did as far as my music, and I wound up going on tour with Ronnie McDowell, for a short period of time, and that was before he became Ronnie McDowell. That was right before Elvis died. Wow. So I did a short tour with him, and then I decided that, hey, I don't want to be a side musician. I still want to sing. I still want to do my thing. So I just used so I called his manager and I said, I did you a favor. Now you owe me. Sure. And he goes, "Okay, what do I owe you?" I said, "Hey, if I come across somebody, I want to be able to call you and say, is this guy good? Is he bad? Whatever." Because back then you didn't have Google, you didn't have any of that.
You're right.
Thing. And if somebody said that they were managing or part of somebody's big name career, you had no way of proving it because you couldn't break down those walls. They had those firewalls up there, and you just couldn't get past them.
True.
So I lucked out. I wound up working with Gary Paxton, which was the singer of the Argyles, Alley Oop, and a lot of those big songs in the 60s. Mm-hmm. And then I worked with Bob Millsap. He produced a lot of stars, and he published Anne Murray's You Needed Me. And they kind of guided me and mentored me into what I became. And then I took some of what they had for knowledge, and I kind of developed it into my own independent way. released. I got with an independent label. I released a few records. We had some chart hit records, and then I decided I just wanted to keep it going. So here I am.
Oh my goodness, this is amazing. By the way, so it was 2005, you developed your own production development company, right? Plateau Music?
Well, actually, in 1993,
It was
I
before that.
created. Yeah, I created Plateau Music in 1993, but in
Oh.
but in 2005, it became an independent record label.
Got it. Okay, that's what I was reading on your website. Okay, by the
Yeah.
way, it's tonymantor.com. That's TonyMantor.com. We're finding all about Tony, his own music career, and of course, now what his career spanned into, which is amazing that you've helped so many people top the charts with all your success. And again, pleasure to have you here. So let's continue to talk more about all the production. So you started producing for over 40 nationally, my gosh, charted records. Explain this. How did this all go down? And now, did you physically move to Nashville? At what point did you move there?
I moved to Nashville in 1993. Uh,
Okay.
my Bob actually was the business side of the
Mm-hmm.
business. Gary was the engineer and the guy that stood by, was behind the board pressing all the buttons and moving all the knobs and everything. So Bob told me, he says, he goes, you understand music, you understand how it goes together. Why don't you get off the road and come down here and do what we do, because we're getting ready to retire.
Mm-hmm.
So at that time, I had to really do a lot of soul searching, because do I want to give up the stage? Do I want to take and what do I want to do? And I've seen so many friends of mine that, they're in their 50s and 60s and 70s, and they're out there playing and performing, and more power to them. But I just didn't want to do that. I didn't want to be in these pubs and clubs and just bouncing around from place to place. So I decided that, okay, I'll move to Nashville. So 1993, I moved to Nashville and started production company and worked with singers and songwriters and just kind of developed them, getting them ready for labels and developing those relationships with the labels
Mm-hmm.
that I mean, it's like anything else. If you can know how to do everything and you can do it, but if you don't have the connections to get to the people that can tell you that you can do it, you're sitting outside looking and wondering what would happen.
Yeah.
So luckily, I created those relationships and started developing and working with major labels and pitching them product and just working with singers and then in 2005. I had a singer that I was working with that just didn't want to wait, because like when you pitch to labels, like I pitched a singer one time to a label that they was ready to sign her, but it was going to be a year and a half before they could do anything with her.
Wow.
So
You don't realize it takes that long sometimes.
yeah, because you got to get in that pipeline, and they've already guaranteed other singers under contract that they're going to take and work with them and develop them and release them. So it's like, why would they take and put you ahead of somebody else unless you've got that just major monster hit record? And in that particular case, you never know what is a monster hit record.
Yeah.
So we took and decided not to. And then later on, I wound up working with a singer that had a sponsor, and he sat down with me. He said, I don't want to wait a year and a half. Let's just do this. So I started putting it. Because I knew the producers and I knew the promoters and I knew everybody at radio, because I used to work at radio at one time. I knew how it worked. So I decided to transition Plateau Music into a record label. And
Awesome.
and so we released several records, and then within like 2 or 3 years, I had the top artist in the independent country charts, and and then it led to other things, and I wound up signing Jackie Wilson's son Bobby in 2012.
Hmm.
And for anybody that doesn't know who Jackie Wilson is, they need to look him up, because he's the old, yeah,
Amazing.
he's a soul singer that Michael Jackson tried to be like.
Hmm.
So I signed him, and then all of a sudden, all of Motown opened up to me. I had
Wow.
I had people that I was listening to when I was growing up calling me saying, "Hey, we got to do a job together. We got to do something."
You're like,
You know,
okay,
yeah.
that's amazing.
Yeah, so it developed into that, and from one thing led to another, and then all of a sudden, I was having records out there that was hitting the charts, so now I think I've, I don't know, 40 or so records over the last 15 to 20 years that's hitting the top 40.
Amazing. Congratulations on all your success. Is there any particular that you want to highlight and share? I mean, there's a lot. I don't know
Well,
if we have time for that in our first show, but give us some.
well, I've had, because Jackie's son Bobby did,
Mhm.
because I work with Glenn Campbell's daughter Debbie,
Yes, I've read that.
and and I'm working with Donnie Most now. We just hit the charts with him last fall. So I've been very fortunate. I've been able to work with a lot of TV stars, movie stars, major people, and just keep my feet on the ground, and just keep one step in front of the other.
Awesome. And what about yourself? Are you still working on your career too?
Well, that was kind of strange because in 1993 I pretty much took myself off the stage and decided that I was going to take and work on using my knowledge to help
Yeah.
others that were trying to do what I was trying to do. And then when the pandemic hit, I decided just to, there's nothing to do, everybody's shut down, so I decided, I'm going to have a little fun. I'm going to take and record some stuff for myself. So I did, and then this song came across my desk from a songwriter that I'd produced one of his songs with an artist I worked with a few years prior, and it was everything that I say on my social media.
Wow.
I mean, why not me?
Wow. Mm-hmm.
Don't give up on your dreams. It doesn't matter when you do it. It only matters that you do it.
Mm-hmm.
So I decided that that made sense, and it was really what I was about. So I recorded it, and this is how you never know how music is going to do or what's going to happen, because I I kind of produced it on a kind of a pop side, you know,
Okay.
and I put a steel in it for give it a little texture, kind of like the Eagles did. Then all of a sudden, all my country people are saying, "Oh man, you produced a country song." So so my promoters in New York, LA, and Nashville, and over in London, said, "Hey, we got to take and release this song. It's positive. There's nothing out there like it." So I decided that if I was going to do something like that, I needed to help some people. So at
Yeah.
that time, we was having all this stuff going on. So I decided that pay respect to the first responders. So I got people sending. I just let a few people know that I was going to do this. Then all of a sudden, I started getting pictures and short video clips from different first responders from all over the country. So I put it all together and I created "Why Not Me" for the first responders. And then I figured, okay, that's it. I had fun with it and everything. Things are starting to come back a little bit. And then I got a call from a lady in St. Louis, and she goes, "Can you do what you did for the first responders for us?" And I said, "Well, who's us?" And it turns out that she was a speech therapist for autistic children.
Aw.
So I said, "Yeah, well, let me think about it." So I decided that I had to re-record it and give it more of adult contemporary pop version, and I did. So I called it "Why Not Me Nashville," and I put out a video, and I've got all people in Nashville that are autistic in this video.
Wow.
So far, in like 4 or 5 months, it's got over 200,000 views, and it's led into this podcast because different people find out about different things. And then
Yeah.
now I'm going to this is the first time I've announced this, but I'm actually starting next week on a documentary for autism.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
That is amazing.
I had this I got interviewed of how there's this producer that's putting together a documentary about Nashville and how it's changed over the last 20 years. And so he was referred to me, and I wound up doing an interview with him about different things that I've done and Nashville, so how it works and everything. And then all of a sudden, this came along to well, let's do a documentary about autism. So next week I start filming that. So it's just one thing led to another. You just never know what's going to happen in this business.
Beautiful. Oh my God, congratulations. I know we became friends on social media recently. I told you I had a condo down in Nashville for 10 years
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
fell in love with the place back in like 2005. Do you know where the Adelicia is?
Yes, yes.
Downtown, yeah, that was my condo. And my son's godfather lives there. He's now, his name's Tom Black. I don't know if you know Tom Black. Tom Black is a huge wine connoisseur, but he's friends with every country music artist always at his
Okay.
house. But he does all the charity events with everyone. Little Big Town was just at his house the other night. He just
Yeah.
put a picture up on social media. That's my son's godfather. I have a love for country music beyond belief, and I'm from New York. People always thought I was crazy, but there's something about that town that I love. And I spent a few years not there. I have a 6 and now 8-year-old, but I just took him there in November. We went to the Gaylord Opryland for the
Yeah.
holidays. And then we actually went downtown just one day with the kids. It's hard, right? Just me and the two kids. And I just
Right.
could not believe how much downtown changed. I was a
Oh,
little
yeah.
disappointed. I said, what
It has.
happened? It's become super touristy, super like I was like, this is not the
It
little
has.
oh my gosh, I used to come down for the CMT awards and CMA awards. I was always, and I'm like, all my country music friends, like John Rich is a friend of
Yeah.
mine. Kenny Chesney's a friend of mine. I saw him
Yeah.
this summer when he came to town. I'm like, what happened? And everyone says, yeah, downtown Nashville is a little different now.
Well, I mean, the Music Row that I knew doesn't exist
Mm-hmm.
anymore.
No.
I mean, it's all gone. I mean, it used to be people would
You
would
mean
go
right off of
down.
Demumbrian, right? The Music Row. Are there labels that still in those places or no? Are they on the
Some of
up
them
at
are.
the buildings
Some of
now?
them, yeah, some of them are, but a lot of your major studios that I mean, Paul McCartney recorded in one of those studios. They tore it down.
Ah,
I mean, it's like, are you kidding
they
me?
look like little houses, by the way, right? They are. They're little
Yeah,
homes.
little houses, and that was the warmth of Nashville is the fact that you'd walk down Music Row and you'd go from this little house to this little house to this little house, and one might be a publishing company, one might be a independent record label. I mean, just all kinds of different things, and that's all gone now. A lot. I mean, Capitol moved out of Music
Hmm.
Row. You've got several that are still there, Curb's still there, and all that,
Okay.
but it's just changed so much. And because back in the 90s, in the mid 90s, you had like 25, 26, 27 major labels. Now you've
Hmm.
got three.
Yeah.
And all those major labels are under umbrellas of Sony, or, well, not even Sony, BMG now. BMG got bought out. I mean, it's hard to keep Universal. I mean, you've just got three major companies now, and it's like it's really sad because it's taken a lot of the development out of the business. Because if you remember, some of these record labels back in the early 2000s or whatever, they would actually lose money on the first album or two on an artist because they believed in them. Then all of a sudden they would hit. And back then, if you sold 350,000 units of your CD, of your album or CD or whatever, you was king or queen. I mean, it was like, man, what does it take for us to keep you? Now, if you sell 350,000, you're gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Oh,
just
well, and now the day and age has changed with everything online like this, right? So talk
right,
about the difference of that. And then people buying albums, selling albums. Now it's all these music platforms, right?
right, right. I mean, there's there's good of it and there's bad of it. I mean, like if you look at the songwriters now, right now, they're starving. They're having a rough time because back in the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, if you got a album cut on an artist that was doing fairly well, you could make yourself 10, 15, 20,000 bucks.
Hmm.
Now, if you get an album cut, you make hardly nothing. Unless it's
Really?
on a Garth Brooks or some major star that's selling a lot of product, because it's just changed so drastically because of the downloads. When you've got people downloading songs for $9.95 a month and they don't ever buy them, they're just paying rent, so to speak. It takes 1 million downloads to make $100. It's just
Wow.
crazy.
Oh my goodness, Tony. Wow. So you clearly fell in love with Nashville. You're still there. Is your family still back home, or or is your family all near you now?
No, I've got because I've got kids and grandkids here, but my immediate family is still in Maine, and I still go back up there, a couple times a year. I mean, I've never not I've never not gone back because like I tell everybody, if I could do what I'm doing down here up there, I would have never left.
Hmm.
Because because even though Maine has cold weather and Maine's got, a lot of things, Maine's, everybody down here that comes in contact with me, I've always wanted to go to Maine. Well, I think I'm going to go. Where do I go? And I'll tell them where to go. And then they'll go and they'll come back and they'll say, oh, I got to go back again. There's just so much up there, so it's a great place. It's a great place to visit, a
Hmm.
great place to live. You got to want to be there because it's rough country. You've got snow and cold and ice and all that kind of thing. So you've got to want to be there, but it's a great place to live.
Great. Well, Tony, what else do you want to share with your listeners and audience here today for our first show? Do you want to talk more about some of the hits, the current projects you're working on? What did you have in mind for us?
Well, I've got. I'm getting ready for those that remember Happy Days. I,
Uh-huh.
I produce and manage Donnie
That's it,
Most, which
Donnie. Hmm.
Ralph Mouth. So we released a single on him last fall, and I'm getting ready to release another single on him here in another couple of weeks. And he's if everybody doesn't know who he is, check him out because he's a kind of like a Frank Sinatra, Bobby Darin, got a great swing style, sings really well. I just released Debbie Campbell over in the UK, and she's the female version of Glenn Campbell. I mean, she was on the road with him for 24 years, and she just just as sweet as can be, and her voice is very smooth and easy to listen to. I've got several other things that I'm working on. I've just signed a few people that's going to be surprised when I announce that. Uh,
Awesome.
so a lot of good things happening. I'm very fortunate. I've been in a good place and got to meet a lot of people and done a lot of good things, and now I'm trying to be, and trying to be an advocate for autism and spread more awareness and acceptance on that. And the big thing I think is understanding, getting people to understand and have the conversations about it. Because if you stop and think about it, if you don't know about something, whether it's autism or whatever you don't know, sometimes it might make you feel a little shy, or
Yeah.
you might not want to take and talk about it or know how to act or say.
Hmm.
But if you get to know people and you start understanding some of the things that they're going through and what they have to deal with on a daily basis, then hopefully understanding can break those barriers of people feeling, not knowing what to say or do, and they'll just start openly communicate better. So I'm working on that.
Beautiful. We can go to the website to listen to the song, right?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. You can go. I've got plateaumusic.com, which they can keep up
Hmm.
on all my artists that I'm working with. And then of course I've got tonymantor.com that they can keep up on what I'm doing. And of course then I'm on all the social media platforms. And the very cool thing about what's going on right now with what I've been doing with autism is I've got parents, grandparents, sending me emails or messages, and they're telling me their stories, about
Yeah.
what I've got a grandson that's got autism, and they'll tell me their story.
Yeah.
I had
Hmm.
I had one gentleman that sent me that he's got a son that's got autism. He sent me 30 pictures of him, doing different things, and so I mean, just the interaction I'm getting is just so rewarding. So I'm trying to point a finger to communities, so that way, if somebody said, well, are you working with a major charity? I had an opportunity to, but I chose not to because at least for this point in time, because
Yeah.
I want to be able to say, hey, check out a charity in your local community that can help your local people. They're the
Yeah.
ones that need the help. So I'm trying to take and be an advocate for that and kind of support that, and this documentary, could be kind of cool, when I get that, going started next week, and just a lot
That's
of good things.
amazing. Oh my gosh, this is amazing work you're doing. Thank you. I have a niece who's autistic, so I could totally relate. And just nowadays, there's a lot more people who've been diagnosed with autism, and still, that's
Yeah,
another controversial issue we're not going to bring up today. But how and why, what's going on with our, with our genetics, with our population? What are we doing wrong as society, or is it genetic? Is it anyway? But there's
right,
so many people who are autistic, and they're beautiful souls, and they express themselves. To us, we might say differently. It's normal for them,
right.
but they're just amazing amazing souls. There's something that's just so beautiful about them. And like in your video, to see all of them doing sports and interacting, and it's
Yeah.
just they're they're normal people. Who's to say they're different? We're different, and
Exactly. And that's exactly what I'd say. I said, it's like some people look at autistic people as being different. I was going, well, hey, you're different than I am.
exactly, yeah.
So what's the problem? And the thing is in the video that I did, I tried to put it together in such a way that it showed every possible position that you could show. I mean, there's some people in there that you can see definitely need some help on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And then I've got people in there that are transitioning into the workforce. I've got a guitar player that
One captaining a boat, right?
yeah. So it's just awesome, that all these people, have they deserve the opportunity just like we do.
Yeah.
To fulfill their lives. And that's what Why Not Me is all about. It's like, hey, I tell everybody, hey, if you're seeing somebody doing something that you want to do, just look at yourself and say, if they can do it, why not me?
No, that is so true. Beautifully said. Tony Mantor, thank you for joining us here today. First of many of our podcasts. And gotta
Yeah,
ask for those on the Zoomcast, tell me, is that Cher behind you?
it is.
Hey, I love it. And then I see the Plateau music. And when did you meet her?
I met her. I was doing a um, I was doing a show for retiring generals in Washington, D.C. And we was working with the Fisher House at the time. And
Hmm.
for those people that don't know what the Fisher House is, it's kind of like the Ronald McDonald for kids, only this is housing units for families of soldiers that are in the hospital. So we was at the Walter Reed Hospital, and that day that my artist and I did the tour of the Walter Reed, it was us, the New York Yankees, and Cher. So we went
Got
through
it.
and did our tour and everything, and then we went back to the Fisher House, and Cher just happened to come over, and we got a chance to sit down and talk. And the cool part about because I was always a Cher fan, always, so it's like the cool part about meeting someone, and I'm sure you've had that just like anybody out there has. It's like you meet someone that you've kind of looked up to for years, and then you go, oh, I only hope that they're as nice as what I thought they were. you know
Oh,
and then you
yeah.
finally meet them, and then sometimes you get good response and sometimes you don't. Cher was exactly what I expected her to be. I mean,
Yeah.
she didn't sugarcoat anything. She was just straight on. I mean, I just loved her. She was just great.
Oh, wonderful. Well, I want to congratulate you on all your success and all that you're doing now. And remind everyone how we can reach out to you, please. Tell us your website, if you have a phone number, social media page, please share that information with us, Tony.
Well, they can reach me on I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. I'm on all of them, and it's just at Tony Mantor. They can follow me on tonymantor.com. That's got all my contact information. They can follow everything I'm doing. So they can go to YouTube. I've got my videos up there. I'm pretty much, they can Google my name. I'm pretty much out there.
All right, Tony Mantor, pleasure getting to speak with you here today. Looking forward to the next conversation we have, and I can't wait to hear more about the project. So you're starting
Yeah.
filming for the documentary for autism next week?
Next week. Yeah, it's going to be great.
Fantastic. Thank you again for all you do, and have a fantastic week and happy day for Valentine's Day. Always
All right.
important to spread the love. You have a
Definitely.
great day. Thank you, Tony.
Too.
Bye bye.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.